Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Thursday. It's good to see everybody on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch TV, and Periscope. We welcome you into the broadcast. Tonight we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson because there is officially a trade request from the Texans quarterback. That is good news if you're a Titans fan, as Derrick Henry said today on the Dan Patrick Show. But it's an interesting dynamic because Houston does have one advantage over Deshaun Watson that I feel like not enough people are considering. We'll discuss that at length tonight. You'll hear some details on the request from Deshaun Watson to get the trade out of Houston. We'll spend some time on some landing spots that make the most sense for Watson. And because it's a Thursday, which is our Friday here on the Primetime Show, we will get to the best thing that I saw on the internet this week with This Is a Free Site. Before we do any of that, you guys have to share this show around. If you're with us on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on Periscope, or on Twitch, we would invite your participation. If you view with us on Periscope, you can do as I have just done and retweet the show in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, a little inception there for you. Retweet the show. And you can get your Periscope people, your Twitter people involved that way. YouTube, you can share the show. Twitch TV, you can tell your friends. Facebook Live, you can share and share now to public in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. That's how you get things done on Facebook Live. Mikey Flex says, love to see it if they trade him. Hope he's off to the NFC. Texas Sports 1015 says, Buck, can't you just let us enjoy Watson being gone? Don't be cold water. Well, somebody's got to because he's not gone yet. And with that being said, let's start the show. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Thursday. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I am proud, as always, to be presented to you by our friends at Two Rivers Ford. That is the name you know, the brand you trust for nearly 40 years in the industry, serving Middle Tennessee just as they have served the local community, the local sports teams, and your favorite local sports streaming show here on Primetime. You can shop at Mount Juliet, where the dealership is located, or online at tworiversford.com. Of course, you know that you can trust the official real estate agent of the Tennessee Titans, Gary Ashton, and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. GaryAshton.com, your dream address without the stress. They'll hook you up and they'll help you sell your home for more at GaryAshton.com. Tennessee Heating and Cooling is the name that you trust when it comes to satisfaction guaranteed on each and every one of your HVAC needs. The best in the business for a reason. They have 3 locations in Middle Tennessee and in Kentucky, servicing the mid-state at TENNHC.com. Tennessee Heating and Cooling. Okay, let's spend some time on what's happening with Deshaun Watson. Let's break down the story in detail. First, I want to know from you guys, though, on Facebook Live and on Periscope, who has more leverage in this situation, Deshaun Watson or the Texans? Because I think there's some things that's being misconstrued. Here in the comments on Facebook Live, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch, let me know who has more leverage in this particular situation, Deshaun Watson or the Texans. Where is Watson wanting to play for? John Ledbetter asks. Stacy says that the Texans are in a better position in this form. I'm going to let you hear from Ian Rappaport, who broke the news on NFL Network today, before I give you my answer and before we end up discussing where he might want to go.
Now, this has been weeks in the making, but officially, according to sources, Deshaun Watson has asked that the Houston Texans trade him. He has made an official trade request to the organization. Actually happened a little bit ago, more than a week ago. It has really just been quiet ever since then as the Houston Texans sought out a head coach. And, of course, we know by now, late last night, they decided they are hiring David Culley from the Baltimore Ravens, the assistant head coach there. So now that, of course, has finality. And that led to the public nature of Deshaun Watson's trade request. We will see what the Houston Texans decide to do. They have not agreed as of right now to trade him. That has not stopped teams from calling. Many teams from calling. More than half of the league, of course, interested in Deshaun Watson. But the most important thing today is that the franchise quarterback, the face of this franchise in Houston, has officially asked that the organization trade him.
So that's Rap Sheet today on NFL Network saying that more than half of the teams in the NFL, which makes sense, right? Deshaun Watson is young. He's 24. He's hugely talented. And there's actually going to be a lot of different teams looking for quarterback help this year. But my question to you guys is who has the most leverage? Dom says Watson by a mile. Brad disagrees and says Texans definitely have the advantage. Robbie Els says Watson. And Ethan Ramsey says Watson because he gets the hell out of Houston. I would say to you that I think that many people are looking at this and forgetting one crucial piece. And I'll tell you that here in just a second, right after I remind you about our friends at Two Rivers Ford, the place that I was at broadcasting yesterday, the first of the Bronco broadcasts. I am eventually going to get my hands on one of these Ford Broncos as soon as I've got about a year left in my Ford Escape. So I'm going to let Sugar live her best life for one more year, and then unfortunately, we will have to trade her in. But we will be trading up for one of the great new vehicles at Two Rivers Ford, the new F-150, the electric Mach-E Mustang, the 2021 Ford Bronco, a badass machine that so many of you were aesthetically attracted to when I was out there broadcasting yesterday. You can check all of these vehicles out and test drive them in Mount Juliet at Two Rivers Ford, or you can customize your own at tworiversford.com. That's the place that you go. Watson, says Puka, he has enough money to sit. He also has a say-so in the trade. Mikey Flex says it's about 50-50 in his opinion. Texans have a contract he signed. Watson, however, could sit, lose money, and make the franchise look even worse. So ultimately, Watson has a fair amount of clout here. He has waited patiently, because this has been building for a couple of weeks, and the Texans have had, frankly, time to get their shit together and have failed to do so. And it was made public through the media in recent weeks that it didn't matter who the Texans hired to be their head coach. Deshaun Watson, the relationship between him, the franchise, and the ownership has been so soured that he just wants flat out. Now, he does have a no-trade clause, which means that he gets to pick if he does not want to go to a certain team that offers the Texans what they believe to be the best deal. It is an issue, though, because the thing that I feel like people are missing the most is that the Texans really have the majority of the leverage, because it's kind of like Le'Veon Bell, except this party is in a better position than Lev Bell was, right? What Mike Tomlin's famous line to our friend Diana Rossini is that when it comes to playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the case of Le'Veon Bell, they don't want hostages, they want volunteers. It can be said the same of the Texans, but also there's no timetable that they have to trade him by. He is under contract. He has 3 years left on his current deal. There is no really major emphasis for the Texans to trade him other than he would just sit and void some of his money, void part of his contract, but yet remain under contract with the Houston Texans. It's a leverage play that we haven't seen many people try and make in the NFL. We've seen it a couple times, and it very, very rarely, if ever, works out, because the NFL is structured much differently when it comes to player empowerment as opposed to the NBA or even baseball, which has the strongest players' union of any of the major leagues. But I ultimately come back to this and say the Texans have the most leverage because I sit here and think that there is just so many reasons for them not to trade him. There are too many reasons to not trade him that would keep the Texans kind of standing pat and just say, okay, we'll call you on your bluff. We don't really care. You can play for us. You can not play for us. We're going to be bad next year anyway. Might as well try and play for a worse pick. And the players who are on the roster aren't going to be happy about it. But who are they going to be pissed at? They're going to be pissed at Watson because he won't play for the team that he's currently on. Dom Odell says it was probably devastating for the new coach when they told him he probably won't have Watson. I mean, you had to be realistic. If you were going to take this job, you have to know what was happening coming in. Stacy says the front office is a mess. Andrew Reed says that's not how it works. They let Hopkins go, says Stacy. Well, they traded Hopkins, and that even didn't piss Deshaun Watson off as much as he is apparently pissed now. Titans for Life agrees with me. He says the Texans have the most leverage. He's under contract. He can either play or stay home. It's going to be very much the case in that situation, and I hate it for Deshaun Watson because he has been done wrong by that organization. There's no doubt in my mind. But ultimately, the thing that I come back to is that they don't have to do anything for him. And in fact, they're probably less inclined to do something for him at this point because of the way that he's kind of made a public stink of things. Reports are saying Miami will trade a stake in their franchise to the Texans for Deshaun. Nope, rights have to be traded, says Robert Lehue. Jeremy Piper wants to know, have you done a test drive on the Bronco? I have test driven the Bronco. It's why I know I want one. Not just, here's what I'll say, Jeremy. I have test driven the Ford Bronco Sport. Now, there are two versions of the Bronco. The Sport is the smaller one. They have more of those actually available because there's limited edition. There's every car that comes out has various like editions of it. But the Sport I really liked. It's very similar, at least in build and in size, to my Ford Escape. I got a 2012 Ford Escape, but I'm looking for something with a little more heft. So I'm probably going to opt for the limited edition when I get around to buying my new car, and I certainly will be shopping at Two Rivers Ford, and I can testify to the test drive. The thing rides like a dream. You should go check it out. The real question is, how much is a team willing to give up for him, says BMO54 on YouTube. Plus, his contract has no guarantees this year, says Titans for Life. That's tough. Big Mac says Texans going 0-17. I mean, it's possible. And that's right, because they will be playing 17 games next year. Why did he sign the extension if it was that bad in Houston, says Brad? Well, he signed the extension, and then they traded Hopkins, and then they gave up all the draft capital for Laramie Tunsil, which he needed, but they also sacrificed so much of their future cap space with a deal that Laramie Tunsil really, really wasn't in range for. Like, they made him the highest paid offensive lineman in football by a mile, and it wrecked the cap for years to come. And also they have no draft capital. Plus the David Johnson thing was a disaster. They've just done wrong by him, and it was all after he signed the extension. So I'll give him a little bit of a pass on that. But the Texans in this particular situation have the most leverage because they don't have a timetable that they need or want to trade him. And so we will see whether he actually gets out. Now, I want to talk about landing spots because there are a great many. There's about 18 teams that are going to be looking for quarterback help. We're going to be shuffling the deck on their quarterback situation this offseason. And so now I want you guys to give me the best landing spot for Deshaun Watson. Which team should try to trade for him? Let me know on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch TV, and Periscope in the comments section. Let me know where you think Deshaun Watson should head to if the team is able to trade for him. Art Belfour says the Saints, not the Colts, says Buckethead, understandably so. I will give you my answer momentarily, right after I remind you about our friends at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Your dream address without the stress. That's what the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage is trying to provide for you. They do it for the Titans because they're the official real estate agent of your professional football team. They do it for the Preds because they're the official real estate agent of your favorite hockey team. They did it for me because they're the official real estate agent of A to Z Sports Prime Time. They did it spectacularly, and they did it with great patience because you guys know me well enough. You know that I require somebody who has a deal of patience in dealing with me. I am hugely high maintenance, and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, Gary and his squad helped me through the process, even though I was a giant pain in the ass about it. GaryAshton.com. You can find out more about their listings locally. You can find out more about their guaranteed local offer program, and you can sell for more at GaryAshton.com. That is something that they will be able to provide to you. Pats, says Matthew Hall. Michael McDonald says the Dolphins. Fred K. Schultz says trade him to Detroit, and let's see how bad he wants out. Yeah, I mean, that would be awful for him, right? Nobody wants to send him. Nobody wants to go to Detroit. Certainly not Matt Stafford. The 49ers, Dolphins, and Saints would be ideal for Watson. Hell, he'd be worth it for 20 teams in the league. Well, you heard the Rap Sheet report, and for those of you who didn't, I'll run it back quickly. Ian Rappaport is saying that over half of the teams in the NFL are trying to get their hands on this young quarterback.
Now, this has been weeks in the making, but officially, according to sources, Deshaun Watson has asked that the Houston Texans trade him. He has made an official trade request to the organization. Actually happened a little bit ago, more than a week ago. It has really just been quiet ever since then as the Houston Texans sought out a head coach. And, of course, we know by now, late last night, they decided they are hiring David Culley from the Baltimore Ravens, the assistant head coach there. So now that, of course, has finality. And that led to the public nature of Deshaun Watson's trade request. We will see what the Houston Texans decide to do. They have not agreed as of right now to trade him. That has not stopped teams from calling. Many teams from calling. More than half of the league, of course, interested in Deshaun Watson. But the most important thing today is that the franchise quarterback, the face of this franchise in Houston, has officially asked that the organization trade him.
So that's the Rap Sheet report for those of you who missed it. Over half of the teams in the NFL are trying to trade or inquiring about Deshaun Watson. I want to know where you guys think he would most likely land. Titans for Life says 49ers. Pats says Johnny Lee. Remember the Rams are in cap hell right now, and they're trying to get rid of Jared Goff. They've said it's going to be an open quarterback competition now that their season is over. I'd love to see him go to the Browns. Baker is just Trent Dilfer, says P. Knuckles. Man, that would I saw Baker actually get tagged. I don't know if he got tagged in a it was like a fan-sided blog that wrote an article about the Browns need Deshaun Watson, and Baker saw it and got all salty about it. How would Rappaport know that, says Titans for Life? Well, because he works for the network that all of the NFL owners own, and so he is being fed all of that information to go and then say on their network so that it can be circulated by people like me. It's a very heady business model by the NFL. I see him in the AFC North. He was south. Now he is headed north, says Lewis Chesney. Well, there's no real reason why you should think that, Lewis, but Roethlisberger is going to play. Joe Burrow is going to be back. Lamar's not going anywhere, and the Browns have Baker. The North makes actually the least sense of any division, probably in the AFC. The place that I would look, though, is in the AFC East, either Miami or the Jets, as Robbie Els just said on Facebook, but I'm leaning Dolphins. One, because it's where Deshaun Watson said he wants to go. Now, that doesn't matter because they don't have to trade him where he wants to go, but he ultimately has final say on where he gets traded. Two, the Dolphins have by far and away the most draft capital to be able to offer him and a quarterback who is on a rookie deal if they feel like they are ready at this point, even after less than a year, to part ways with Tua. They have the Texans first. They have the Texans' first-round pick, which I'm sure Houston would like back. They have a quarterback who is cheap, affordable, and potentially has promise. And they hired Pep Hamilton, who was being interviewed for the Titans' offensive coordinator job and ultimately did not get it. But Pep Hamilton has had great success with Andrew Luck and now with, I'm blanking on Justin Herbert, who is the Chargers quarterback. Pep Hamilton to be the quarterback coach, so perhaps he will be able to get the same kind of success out of Tua Tagovailoa. The Jets make a lot of sense too, because Sam Darnold will likely be shipped off for parts at some point, or at least they're going to try. But the place that I look more than anything, mostly because Watson wants it, but also because they have the most assets that makes the most sense for the Texans, I think that he ends up being a Dolphin. Why would the Dolphins do that after they have a cheap quarterback for 4 years and a lot of draft picks as Titans for Life? Well, because they can make a play for a much better quarterback. Tua looked very average this year. And yeah, he's coming back from a hip injury, and he could go on to be a great quarterback. But you don't know if Tua is going to be a great quarterback. You know Deshaun Watson is a great quarterback. You know that with literally you and me, Titans for Life, at wide receiver, Deshaun Watson led the league in passing. This is a lot of times they're trailing in games, and so you're throwing more, and so compiling of stats happen that way. But there is no question in my mind that this is a great player, and it shouldn't be a question in yours either. And if you feel that way and you have the salary cap space and the draft capital to go out and get him, why not go get your quarterback now instead of wondering whether the guy that you have, if you're not certain, and you can't be all that certain if you feel that he needs to be pulled from games at points for Ryan Fitzpatrick, why wouldn't you go out and try to get a quarterback that you know that is a proven commodity in the NFL? Multiple team trade is a probability, says Fred K. Schultz. Actually, I think that's probably not a probability. It's probably not a probability because those things get messy. Bring him to the two-tone blue, says Jeremy Piper. That's literally not on the table. Only KC and possibly the Los Angeles Chargers should be the only teams not to make the call. The Titans shouldn't make that call either. Ryan Tannehill probably just as good as Deshaun Watson. He's playing as good as Deshaun Watson right now. The Dolphins are building with youth and picks. I don't see that one at all. Well, we strongly disagree there. And so does Deshaun Watson and his agent, who I'm sure has had conversations with Miami, who is indicating, yeah, we'd probably do that deal if the Texans sign off on it. I don't care where he lands, as if he's not in the AFC South no mo, says Will Dotson. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? You guys have been so lucky with the way that things have broken for you. Not only did Andrew Luck retire, unfortunately, his body he felt was failing him and he didn't love the game anymore, and that stinks because he was a lot of fun to watch, but he's in your division and he owned your asses. And also, he shipped off. Now, Deshaun Watson is actively trying to get out of your division. And yes, you will probably have Trevor Lawrence in your division next year, but you're going to take Ryan Tannehill over him 10 times out of 10. The Colts don't know what the hell they're doing at quarterback. And the Jags have a plan, but the Texans, were they going to run out there with A.J. McCarron if it's not Deshaun Watson? I think that the Titans, it's not even a thought. It's confirmed that the Titans are going to have the best quarterback situation in the division next year, regardless of what happens. Because Deshaun Watson, if he's still on that roster, I don't think he's going to want to play until Matt Stafford lands with the Colts, says Shrike. Yeah, that remains a possibility as well. What are thoughts on a possible trade to the Jags, says Robbie Ells? Texans aren't going to do that into the division. It's not possible. I hate to make the lazy comparison, but Tua and Mariota have the same struggles as far as decision-making and poise in the pocket. Watson would be good for Miami. I haven't watched enough Tua to kind of see whether that Mariota comparison is apt. So I will reserve judgment on that, Dom. I don't know enough. To give you a good answer on that. Luck had the same number of Super Bowls that we had, 0. Yeah, but part of the reason that you didn't have any Super Bowls while Luck was here was because you sucked. But also, there was going to be really no path forward for you while Andrew Luck remained in the division. You got close a couple times and you simply couldn't knock him off. So I appreciate the pettiness in that statement. But you weren't going to be winning division titles if Andrew Luck remained in the division and healthy in the division. There was no question that he was the most superior quarterback out of any of them. Even when Tannehill has been the starter, Luck was going to dominate the AFC South. I don't think the Colts will give up picks for Stafford, says Travis. We'll see. Tua needs to learn what the NFL Open looks like and what open looks like in the NFL, Weston Rohde is saying, and how to throw into it. In fact, no, I don't think Weston. I think when I watch Tua, because I've seen a lot of play breakdowns of Tua from people that I trust in media, and I think honestly that the anticipation is his biggest asset. Like, it's not necessarily arm strength. He's not bombing it down the field. He's not zipping it into super tight windows, but he throws guys open long before they're open. I think Tua's got a really good grasp on that. In fact, the accuracy is the biggest part. You're forgetting, though, the Texans owned the division when Luck was here, not the Colts. It says Titans for life. Well, they had the better pass rush, right? And they knocked Luck around, and he was on terrible teams, and he was carrying them. So I do agree with your sentiment, but it's just, it wasn't going to happen. I mean, you think you had a pass rush that was going to stop Andrew Luck this year? Come on. Let's be realistic. What's a realistic haul that the Texans would require for Watson? Well, let me look up, because that's a good question, and I want to give you a reasonable answer. So I'm going to look up what Laramie Tunsil got traded for when he went to Houston from the Dolphins in August of 2019. Let me pull this up quickly. And that's playing some sound. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but that's annoying. And I'll see if I can make that stop so we can not have anything to do with that. That would be good. Okay. So according to NFL.com, the Texans have acquired left tackle Laramie Tunsil and wide receiver Kenny Stills. So for two players, a 2024 round pick and a 2021 sixth rounder, Miami is getting a huge package of draft picks that will include two first rounders, 2020 and 2021, a 2021 second round pick. The Dolphins will also receive special teamer Johnson Batamosi and tackle Julian Davenport in the deal. So it starts based on that. It starts with two first round picks, right? That's Deshaun Watson is imminently more valuable than Laramie Tunsil was, even though left tackle is hugely valuable. Watson's trade value, whole lot of stuff, says Focus. Indeed. No, we were horrible. I agree with that. I'm certainly not defending the Titans for life. He was tied up in a package with Still and Johnson, though. Yeah, but Johnson's not doing it for anybody. And Kenny Stills didn't have a job long after he got released by the Texans in the middle of the season. So I don't think that anybody valued Kenny Stills in a way that was appreciable. I'd love Watson on our squad, but it's best to go to Miami, says Anthony Hill. Well, either way, Anthony, he's not coming here. They're not going to trade him in the division. Let's move on to the best thing that I saw on the internet this week, and I know many of you have been caught up in it. This is a free site. The question for you guys, do you understand what is happening with the stock market? Because there has been a lot going on between the Robinhood app, GameStop, a whole bunch of conversations. Naked had a big jump in stock price today and stock value today, but there are jokes being made on the internet, and I feel like a good portion of people are being left out. This is a free site. Do you understand what is happening with the stock market? Because I have a great explanation prepared for you, courtesy of Avalon Penrose on Periscope. I love it, says Titans for Life. I do too. The Wall Street, just it's so hypocritical that they say, oh, you know what, poor people invest your money. And then poor people invest their money and wreck things for the Sharks, and the Sharks claim that they're being discriminated, that rich people are being discriminated against. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I will play for you. This is a free site video. The best thing that I saw on social media this week, right after I tell you about our friends at Tennessee Heating and Cooling. You will get satisfaction from this video. You will also get satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs at 10HC.com. That's TENNHC.com. The fine folks at Tennessee Heating and Cooling. You see these volunteer orange trucks rolling around in Middle Tennessee and in Kentucky, because they have 3 locations servicing the mid-state and the surrounding area. Sticking it to the 1%, says Ethan Ramsey. You gotta love it. Well, Tennessee Heating and Cooling will not stick it to you at 10HC.com, TENNHC.com. BMO54 says, is Zach having a Super Bowl party? Well, I hope not, because of Rona. Reddit fooled everybody, says Danny Cox. What's up with GameStop's stock? Wow, says Johnny Lee. It's all over the place, says Anthony. Cryptcoin jumped to 4 cents quick. So a lot of people are kind of aware of what's happening with the stock market right now. Some people are not. I saw this explanation on Twitter this week. It's the best thing that I saw on the internet. It's why I love Twitter, because it's a free site.
So I have been seeing a lot of people online who are like, what is going on with the stock market? Is there anyone who can explain this in normal person terms? And so I decided I want to do that because I own stocks. So I have a pretty good understanding of the stock market. And from what I understand, there are these people who they have lots of money and they have hedges around their house, and they go to the market, but it's not a real market. It's it's metaphorical, but it's real. And they go, uh-oh, that company's not doing well, so I'm gonna make it do worse. So they pull out some papers and they go, who wants to make a deal? They start making deals, and they say, if this company's good, if it goes down, then I get money from you, and if it goes up, then I'll give you money. But they don't tell you that it's not gonna go up. I mean, they will make it so it goes down. But then there was this online reading club that was like, well, not today. We want hedges too. And so they went into their bank accounts, and then they also went to the market, and they were like, buy of the company, and changed it a lot. And so now the initial people, the hedges, have to give their hedges, I think, to the other people. So yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know.
So everybody's getting hedges. I hope that cleared all of the questions. This is a free site. The best thing that I saw on this free site, on this app this week, that was great, says Tribe Called Quest. I could not stop laughing. She did a great job with it. It was tremendous. That was so horrible, says Titans for Life. Well, it was a joke. It's okay. How can I stream TV on my phone and NFL games, but not this live stream? Periscope trash, says Mikey Will made it. Well, you can stream it wherever you want. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. So you don't got to pick, Mikey. We're all over the place. Red says, what the F was that? Yes, it's easy. I went to GameStop, bought 6 Xboxes, and now I'm rich. Stonks, says Tempered Titan. Funny, but it's so sad. These people vote, says Danny. I think she was meaning it was a parody, right? She wasn't, at least I hope to God she wasn't taking that seriously. Otherwise, that makes it much more sad, and I don't feel as good about laughing because that had like 50,000 views or something outrageous, and Elon Musk replied to it. So God, I hope that she was kidding. But anyway, it made me laugh. I got a kick out of it. And clearly now we all understand stocks, bonds, hedges, whatever the case may be, here on Holding the Line, says Tempered. I love that so much. Here on A to Z Sports Primetime, the best thing that I saw on the internet this week. The greatest explanation I saw was the comparison to the NBA denying the Lakers Chris Paul trade. That's a pretty good one, actually. You could do a lot for sports fans kind of running it through that prism. But I will tell you what, we will continue to do a lot for you as sports fans, even though our primetime week is done. Thank you, as always, for your participation. We've had a lot of fun this week. The Vols are a big reason we had a lot of fun this week, but there's still a lot more to talk about. Titans still looking to hire coaches. Vols got to fill out their staff. Draft and free agency are on the horizon. They got to start making decision on free agents that are going to hit the market. We will do all of this for you with exhaustive coverage at atozsportsnashville.com because we're not tired yet. In fact, I'm so not tired yet that I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. I'm going to get on a phone call with Austin Stanley at 7:20 a.m., and I'm going to do another show, an extra show. I have done at least one extra show this week, but I'm going to do 2. I'm going to be Zach Bing tomorrow with Austin Stanley. So if you haven't got enough of me, I will be on the A to Z Sports morning show. I'm tired of losing all my bets, says he hate me. Yeah, it's a tough scene. Peace. Glad I jumped aboard, says P. Knuckles. Well, we're glad, as always, to have all of you support the people who support this show. That's Two Rivers Ford, Gary Ashton Remax, and Tennessee Heating and Cooling. They will hook you up, and they will do it with great customer service because they're not tired yet. I've got podcasts out, the 615 sessions with Teron Davenport of ESPN from the Senior Bowl. We talked a lot about the prospects that were down there. It's going to be a great YouTube watch because you can literally see Teron in the stadium with the prospects. We had John Reed on from Knoxville and Fan Run Radio to talk about the Josh Heupel machine. That was all a part of today's 615 session. So subscribe, rate, and review wherever it is that you get your podcast. I'm not tired yet, so much so that I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. bright and early with Austin Stanley. In the meantime, fam, peace and love. I tell you to enjoy your weekend, but I'm going to see you tomorrow, so I can't quite do that yet. All I can say is I'm not tired yet. No!